if I introduce Dr. Upadhyay to you, he's the Group Dean of Talent Edge right now. And he started his career with the pharmaceutical industry in 1984. So it's been over 25 years that he was associated with that industry. And then he moved on to be the Group Dean of Talent Edge that he is right now. He loves teaching, he loves learning at the same time. And a proof of that is that just very recently he had pursued a senior management program from IIM Ahmedabad as well. So I don't want to waste further time in the introduction, because I'm sure whatever you talk is going to be a testimony of that rich experience that you bring along. So over to you, Dr. Shivakant Upadhyay, as you address our students on careers in marketing. And once again, thank you very much for taking out time for this address.
All right. Thank you, Aditi. Thank you so much. I would like to start off this particular session, first of all, by trying to find out, because all of you are aspirants at the moment, and how many of you actually know what marketing is all about before we start talking about careers. So I think it makes sense for me to, first of all, give you a heads up on what marketing is all about before we actually jump into what those careers look like. So these career choices in marketing basically provide you a lot of exciting times which are on your way. Now, it's not a marketing lecture, and so I am not going to actually give you a lot of gyan on this one, but essentially, please remember, there used to be a time when people said that there were only 4 P's in marketing. Now they have added 3 more. So we have these 7 P's of marketing: the product, price, place, promotion, physical evidence, people, and processes. Now, the talk that I have designed is looking at each of these, 7 P's, and then trying to find out what are the roles that are available for us. So that's how I'm going to take this up. And who better than a company like, let's say, Hindustan Unilever? It's a multinational, come into India, become Hindustan Unilever, and they have a huge product range. I'm just going to give you a glimpse of what Hindustan Unilever is all about. See, these are products that they have in their personal care. So from Fair and Lovely, Pond's, Clear, Ayush, Vaseline, etc., up to Hama, Max, Pierce, Lifebuoy, every little thing that you have, this belongs to their personal care range. And then if you look at their food and drinks range, so it starts from Brew and Quality Walls, Lipton, even modern bread has been included. So you have Taj Mahal and Brook Bond Taza and Annapurna Atta, etc. If you thought that was all, then they also have home care products. So within which you got Surf Excel and Active Wheel and Sunlight, Rin, Comfort, etc., Vim, Domex, and all of that. Now, not only that, they also have the water purifier in Hindustan Unilever's Pureit as the brand. Sachin Tendulkar being their mascot there. Now the problem is, how do we go about remembering all these? Because ye simply kitne sare hain, inko yaad kaise rakhein? That in itself is a big problem. Now, if we have to face such problems, and if we have to make sure that we would remember all of these, we go back to the God. God only help us with such kind of range. So what we do is, we look at Jesus and we would try and model our understanding around him, like this one. So that's Hindustan Unilever starting out, and those are the arms which are being stretched out. So as you can see here, in the detergents category, they've got Surf or Surf Excel, and then Active Wheel and Rin, etc. Then comes the soap, within which you've got Lux, then you've got Lifebuoy, you've got Pierce, Dove, and then comes toothpaste, within which you got Close Up, Pepsodent, talcum powders, you got Pond's, Liril, cosmetics, you've got other things like Fair and Lovely and Lakme, and in the food range, you got Knorr and Red Label, and then Quality Walls, and of course, you have Lipton. Now, please understand, this entire thing is critical for us to understand for the topic that we are discussing right now. Let's just look at this entire range. Now, just see this. If you are managing a single product, like let's say Wheel or Rin, a single product, what we call as SKU, stock keeping units, would be a sub part of this. So active wheel. Now, active wheel, let's say this is a brand. We are now looking at each of these. These are called as product lines. So please remember detergents, soaps, toothpaste, talcum powders, cosmetics, and food. And I have obviously not put all the product lines here because it's impossible to put everything from Hindustan Unilever into one. This is the depth that every line has. So within detergents, you've got those 3 products. Within soaps, you've got those 4, so on and so forth. And then the breadth. So detergents, soaps, and all those products put together, that's the breadth that the company has. And all these put together would be called as a product mix. Okay. Now, let's start looking at how people would manage these. If you were handling a single brand, you become either a brand executive or a brand manager. And somebody pointed out a product manager, which is correct. If you're managing a product line, let's say a line of detergents, you become a line manager. That's sometimes also called as a category. So you become a category manager. If you're handling a group of products, that is, let's say detergents and soaps together, if you're handling those, you're called as a group product manager. And if you're handling the entire range of the products, then you are the head of marketing. So that's how this goes. Now, this is what the product rules are. So you become a brand manager, you could be a category manager, you could be a marketing manager, or you could be a strategic business unit head. So those are the product rules. That's the first P that we have covered. Now we move to the second P. And can somebody quickly guess this for me? My cost of goods is 36 rupees. 36 rupees. I want to keep a 50% margin for myself. I would like to give the distributor a 10% margin. I would like to give the retailer a 20% margin. Can you please work out my MRP? You've got 2 minutes to answer. Can anybody try this? This fellow is saying that he wants to keep a 50% margin for himself. And so therefore, if you're keeping a 50% margin, which means you're also giving away 50% margin. And there is a small little formula that you need to understand. So what we do is 36 divided by 100% was my total that I had, out of which 50% is being given away. So this is 36 divided by 50% or 0.5, and this becomes 72. So that's what at this level would be. Okay. Now at the second level, this will have to be 72 divided by 100 minus 10. That's 0.9, right? So 72 by 0.9. So this would be 80. And at this particular one, in the last one, it would be 80 divided by 100 minus 20%. So which means is the answer is 100. And so your MRP is going to be 100. Now, this might seem a little complicated answer for you, but this is what another role does. That role is called the pricing manager, or somebody who looks after pricing, costing, and all of that. Those are the guys who live on this particular thing. You know, they want to find out how exactly would this particular thing work out. And by the way, just imagine if a cost of goods was 36 rupees, you are actually selling at 100 rupees. Look at the price differentiation that happens. So that's one quick question that I had for you. Now, second thing is, I want to also understand from you guys the point of this one here. If you buy a pen from the roadside, which is say 2 rupees is the price of that, what is going to be the quality of this particular product? So you normally decide what kind of pricing and what kind of quality to give out. Now, remember, the price versus quality is an equation that always moves hand in hand. If the price is high, normally people believe that it's going to be a very high quality product. And if the price is low, normally people do not associate a great quality with that. Okay. The pricing managers also would decide what kind of discounts to give away. So we as consumers are always looking at, 10% de do, 20% de do, bhaiya ye kam kar do, wo kam kar do, and all of that. We are actually so good at asking for discounts that we even don't leave that bhaiya who serves us pani puri, ask him for that one extra puri, because we believe that's our right. So we are so very good at those. But more critical point is this point of real-time pricing. Now, imagine if there was an airline, let me just say that this is your day of flying, and you were booking 90 days in advance. Now, if you bought your product 90 days in advance, let's say you bought it for 2,000 rupees, what do you think on the day of flying the price would be? Day of flying, irrespective of whichever destination you are going to. Anybody? So please remember, the price will keep on moving like this. Price always keeps on going up, 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 and up, and it will be the highest on the day that you fly. Now, this is called as real-time pricing. Okay, real-time pricing is very, very complicated method of doing it, and the best people who are practicing this are the airlines. If you were having 100 tickets to be sold, your ticket prices will keep on changing as you keep on depleting the stock. If there are only 90 tickets left, your price goes up. If there are only 60 tickets left, your price goes up. If there are only 5 tickets left, your price goes up. And so things like those will happen here. So these are discounting structures that work with pricing. Now, who can do this? A normal person will not be able to do it. So you will require a very, very specialist in this who can actually deliver these prices to people. Okay, so that's our second thing that we saw, the price versus quality. Third role is the distribution one. So if you could imagine that from the left, you have to bring out the product to the right. How do you do that? You do that from the producer to the consumer by building a bridge. And that bridge is called a distribution. Okay. Now, understand, if there was no distribution, there would be no bridge. So you have to produce the product yourself and you will stay where you are. The consumers will never get your product. And so therefore, you build the bridge of distribution here. And the typical channels of distribution that happen from manufacturer to the consumer, that's the first one. It could be from manufacturer to a middleman or an agent to the consumer. It could be from a manufacturer to a retailer and then to the consumer. It could be from a manufacturer to the wholesaler, to the retailer, and then to the consumer. So it all becomes a very, very complicated kind of a channel that we can look at. Now, if you see this, you will realize that the channels are different. And every single part of this requires one person who can be in charge of this. So let me take an example of B2B channels, business to business. For example, a company which is supplying office furniture. Now, office furniture can only be supplied to another office. So therefore, one company which is manufacturing products like the chairs and the tables and all of those will only sell it to another business directly if it sells. It's a direct model that they have. But if they've got a wholesaler in between, then it becomes there is one middleman there, or there could be an agent who brings out this entire thing. So that's your B2B channels that can be brought in. Now, these days, the intermediary or the laptop and computers have actually become the selling agents for us. So now what happens is you simply go ahead, look at the disintermediation that can be done for companies, say directly you can sell out to the consumers. But the problem here is that these involve things like modern roles, like the drop shipping and other such stuff. Some of you must be doing a lot of things on your computer and on your mobile phones, and you'll be ordering a lot of stuff, right? Have you ever tried to find out what happens if you were ordering, say you were ordering in a single order, you were ordering some 3-4 items. Let's say you just bought a new mobile phone. Now your mobile phone, your cell phone could come from one company. This is supposing your cell phone. But for this, you also are looking for a glass cover, and then you're also looking for another back cover. But you're only placing this particular order into one agency, and let's say, for example, that's Amazon, right? Now, you as a customer have placed order to Amazon. What about your orders? Sometimes your phone will arrive first, your back cover arrives later, and your grass arrives later, but the order has been same. Okay. Now, this is what happens when we do the concept of drop shipping. You order to one particular person, that person arranges delivery from various agents back to you. Okay. That's what Amazon does. And this requires very, very specific roles. And those roles now are called the modern roles. These are modern marketing methods. And these require the use of internet. And so therefore, you would need to have excellent skills when it comes to executing such roles. Okay. Next, we are looking at the next P is promotion. So in promotion, you have these roles which are available. So you have marketing communication, you have personal promotion or sales promotion, as we call them. We also call the public relations or PR. A lot of branding activities go on, and direct marketing. Now, just to give you a little bit of heads up on this, please remember, if you want to actually become a good communicator, there is one thing that you should know, and that is this. Okay. English speak na seekhein, because English is a very, very important language, and that becomes the key language for promotion of a lot of products that are going around here. And why is it important to learn English? Why is it important to communicate in English? Is because of this particular reason.
ओए वेटर, इधर आ यार, ऑर्डर ले।
अस्सलाम वालेकुम सर, ये आप लोग का मेन्यू, आप लोग क्या खाना पसंद करेंगे?
यार यहाँ की स्पेशलिटी क्या है?
Sir, we have fine long grain white rice with tender golden lentils that were gently simmered. It will be served with fragrant butter. Also, sir, it comes with some freshly washed spring water lettuce that comes from the organic farms of Switzerland, sir. Would you like to try some? सर खिचड़ी है सर, खानी है?
So please understand, everything sounds good in English, and so therefore when we communicate well as a marketer, this is a language that we are normally going to be using. And the roles are the advertising and the PR roles. So here you could get into client servicing, mass communications. You could work for a production house, you could work for exhibitions, and some agencies actually, their main role is to help these brand managers execute their storylines. So if you have seen, let's say, a Parle-G ad, now Parle-G ad is not because the brand manager has done so, it's because the agency has helped out that particular brand manager to execute his idea. Because they create marketing campaigns. And this fourth P is one of the critical ones, as you could see from here.
Do the wonderful pea sakte hain roz a glass full. Do wonderful do.
Washing powder Nirma.
Wonderful.
Washing powder Nirma.
Wonderful.
दूध सी सफेदी.
Wonderful.
Nirma से रोजी मरो. रंगीन कपड़ा भी खिल खिल जाए. विक्स की गोली लो.
खिच दूर करो. Ula la 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 luleo. Ula la 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 leo. Ula la la la.
आया नया उजाला.
Ula la 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 luleo.
चार बूंदों वाला.
Ula la la la.
देखो टर्मरिक नहीं कॉस्मेटिक. देखो टर्मरिक आयुर्वेदिक क्रीम.
Na 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 na. Very वज्रदंती वज्रदंती विको वज्रदंती विको पाउडर विको पेस्ट आयुर्वेदिक जड़ी बूटियों से बना संपूर्ण स्वदेशी विको पाउडर विको पेस्ट बोले मेरे लिप्स
जब सूरज ढले तब सूर्य उगे
बोले मेरे लिप्स
All I want is an English Marie
बोले मेरे लिप्स
बुलंद भारत की बुलंद तस्वीर
बोले मेरे लिप्स
तगड़ तगड़ता बाता
बोले मेरे लिप्स For healthy earth, for healthy people बोले मेरे लिप्स I love Uncle Juice क्या आपके दांतों में सड़न है आपके टूथपेस्ट में नमक है 10 में से 8 डेंटिस्ट की पसंद है ये टूथपेस्ट
क्या आप क्लोजअप करते हैं
पान पराग पान मसाला
क्या दुनिया से डरते हैं
ओए बबली
उल्टी सीधी चलते हैं
I'll believe it
आप क्लोजअप क्यों नहीं करते हैं
क्या आपकी नाजुक त्वचा पे दाखा खुजली होती है क्या गोरे बन के चक्कर में रोज आपकी बेटी रोती है क्या आपकी पत्नी कपड़े साधारण साबुन से धोती है क्या आप अपने शिशु को देती है पौष्टिक आहार
चुभती जलती गर्मी का मौसम आया
जागो ग्राहक जागो
जब घर की रौनक बढ़ानी हो दीवारों को जब सजाना हो नेरोलैक
MDH MD असली मसाले सब पानी पूरी चाट का मसाला बिरयानी पुलाव छोले का मसाला
मसाला
ना छोड़ना नहीं
खोया गरम मसाला पाव भाजी छोटी चाट मसाला कसूरी मेथी देखी मिर्च
एसल वॉल में रहूंगा मैं घर नहीं जाऊंगा मैं जब मैं छोटा बच्चा था बड़ी शरारत करता क्योंकि मुंह में रजनीगंधा कदमों में दुनिया
फ्रूटी फ्रेश
सौंदर्य साबुन
जूसी
तंदुरुस्ती की रक्षा करता है लाइफ बॉय है जहां तंदुरुस्ती है वहां
School time, action का school time. Classwork, homework, Beispiel, lecture, good morning teacher.
लाल काला पीला
Chandu bam,
गुलाबी हरा नीला
hari bam.
क्लासिक है बढ़िया पसंद वाला क्लासिक का तो मजा है निराला यही तो है वो
हमें है हीरो
Obligatory snap deal club
सेविंग्स आपके हाथों में
पापा पेट्रोल खत्म ही नहीं होना
Goddamn annoying kid
तेरा है पर मेरा है
Too much information
do the do
Why'd you wanna sleep with condensation
अगर तुम रूपा की बनियान पहनोगे तो रूपा Change the best mummy or Everest
Why you take
You get the message there. Now, there are certain other rules that we could get into, and that is marketing and sales roles. So if you take the sales route, now sales obviously is a part of the marketing that happens. If you start with the sales role, you could start off in the field, become a district sales manager or area sales manager. So you have a larger territory to control. Beyond that, if you grow, you control a particular region. So you become a regional sales manager. You then could become a zonal sales manager heading the entire zone. So the country, as you are aware, could be divided into 4 or sometimes into 5 zones. Then you become a divisional sales manager when you could actually head a division of a company, one particular division, or you could become a national sales manager. You could become a VP marketing and sales, or you could become a president. And finally, you could also end up at the zenith, becoming a CEO. So those are the marketing and sales roles. They are divided into 2 different parts. One is you take the sales route. Second route is the marketing route. But for all of these, you must have an ability. Let me skip this one. You must have the ability into the brand management roles as well. You start off as a product and brand executive. You could then get promoted to a product or brand manager. You could move on to become a group product manager or a group brand manager. You could head a particular category. You could become the head of marketing of a company. You could become the vice president of marketing and sales. You could become the president. And finally, of course, you could end up being the CEO as well. Now, these are normal conventional roles that have been brought in. Here's a little glimpse into brand management.
My name is Maddie Bell, and I'm an ABM on Always. Brand management's just an amazing job because you get to do all of the creative things that one would associate with marketing, and at the same time, you get to own your own part of the business. Every day you wake up wondering how you can take your project and make it better, and how you can build your brand. This is the best job that you could ever ask for. You get to own things every single day, and you get to do it with a group of people that are incredible.
I'm Curtis Friends. I'm an ABM with Head & Shoulders. I'm 1 year in with Head & Shoulders, and I am working with one of the biggest athletes in the world, Michael Phelps. For our brand's semi-annual event, we flew out to Silicon Valley, and I was able to set up meetings with Facebook, Google, and Apple. We got to go onto their campuses, and they taught us about what kind of best-in-class looks like for the digital space. And honestly, that was awesome.
My name is Molly Campanella. I'm an assistant brand manager on Old Spice. We do a lot of things to stay close to what our core guy consumer is watching. So we do things like we watch Tosh.0, we watch Family Guy, we watch Archer. We've had GQ come in and talk to us about guys' fashion. We also had the guys from Xbox came in. They brought in an Xbox. We got to play. We have a very serious job, but we approach it with a lot of fun.
I'm Alex Castaño. I'm an ABM in baby care. Not only am I part of the happy and healthy development of babies, which is something great and that I love to be a part of, and I love to talk to my friends and family about. But another thing is that this is part of something bigger from a company-wide, where we're committed to touching and improving lives everywhere. So no matter what brand you go to, you're always working towards that goal and that purpose, which is personally rewarding as well as something that you can take anywhere you go.
That was a nice little glimpse into what a brand manager's life looks like. We move on to certain other roles, and that's into retail management. Now, when you are into retail, you could become, you start off from the floor itself, or you could grow into becoming the store manager or the director of that. You could also have roles like retail buyer or merchandiser, or what we call as the merchandise manager or planner. You could become an analyst, supply chain distributor and the warehouse manager, marketing executive or the customer care executive, the image promoter, pricing and signing coordinator. Now, I'm going to just give one little brief about the word analyst there. Data analytics is one of the up and coming areas right now. And when we have a lot of data, the role that this particular person will have within a retail store is analyze the footfalls, analyze where the people are going, what kind of product should be positioned where, what should be the eye level, what kind of self gondolas or shelf spaces can be put in. So those are the roles that the analyst would play here. Those are the retail roles. You could then get into this market research analyst. I just spoke about the earlier one, and here we monitor and forecast the marketing and sales trends. So you could also look at how many packs of a particular product have gone last month, and so you could talk about what would happen into the next month. So you give a nice little kind of forecast. You can measure the effectiveness of marketing program that you are currently running and what kind of strategies are being used up by you. Are they good? Are they any effective or not effective? You could gather the data on consumers, competitors, and market conditions, analyze this particular complex data into tables, graphs, and written reports. And then, of course, you can prepare these and present results to the clients and the management. So that's the role that a market research analyst would have. Then, of course, one of the favorite of people right now, and that is digital marketing. You do all kinds of stuff. Search engine optimization becomes the buzzword for every single person who is into modern marketing roles. So SEO manager, you could get into PPC expert, that is pay-per-click expert. You could get into a social media engagement, so social media manager. You could go into content writer. Now, apart from that, there are certain other rules which I have not put in on purpose. One of the roles is called as the ORM. ORM is online reputation management. So we are living in an era where it's a matter of, just a few forwards and somebody's image goes down in a day. So if you look at all the latest happenings around, which are happening with, let's say, the Shark Tank itself, there are a lot of stuff that keeps on being written, and it becomes very, very damaging to the person who's at the receiving end of this entire thing. So you could actually employ the services of an ORM, online reputation management person there. Then, of course, there are some business development roles that the marketing guys can get into. These could be in the field. So you move around in the field promoting your business. So you go from one business to the other. Earlier, I gave the example of the office supplies supplying to another company. Or it could be desk-based. You could do all your business development sitting on a desk and calling up people and developing your business accordingly. Now, remember, clients are the key here. And you need to have an extensive product knowledge, a negotiating ability, and also a presentation ability. So if you are a marketer, these things go hand in hand: extensive product knowledge, negotiations, and presentation ability. Of course, you get into the customer relationship management and the other final threes that I'm going to talk about here. So the idea is that the marketers are always trying to satisfy people. Consumer satisfaction is the key. You must be able to relate to the consumer in a way that he does not move to any other place. Because this CRM, this consumer relationship management or customer relationship management, actually offers clues for better growth. So how good are you, your people? Are they any good? Are your processes customer centric? Do you take very, very long to, come up with a small product or a small service request raised by a customer? Does your physical evidence inspire confidence? Now, the best example I can give you is you get into any of the banks which are outdated, old world banks like the SBI have now become better, but then older ones like Bank of Baroda's and Dena Bank and any cooperative bank, you look at those, and against that you look at all the HDFCs and ICICIs of the world, and the physical evidence inspires confidence in the later ones that I spoke of. There's one specific role here, and that's on medico-marketing. Now, medico-marketing is an indirect marketing method wherein doctors get involved. Customer is not your end user, actually. So end user, however, is your key benefactor. So there would be certain areas wherein you have to influence the end user by influencing a third party. In this case, it's the doctor. So that's requiring a very, very specific kind of a marketing marketing expertise is required here. Now, remember, you need to follow certain laws and norms. So labeling and promotional laws must be performed. It also means that marketing involves one very, very specific role, and that is legal and compliance. So legal and compliance, wherein you are ensuring that your labels are proper, and you're following all kinds of promotion laws. Like, for example, you cannot promote certain things like this particular product is going to cure cancer. You can't do that because that comes under the Magic Remedies Act and you could be behind the bars. So you're not allowed to do that. That's the Magic Remedies Act that I just spoke about. Okay. One very interesting concept is called multi-level marketing. So MLM is where you keep on adding people under you who will become distributors of yours. So if you create distributor lines below you, you keep on growing. So that's multi-channel marketing or multi-level marketing, wherein the idea is to get as many people to join you as possible. Now, there are some support functions that marketing also involves, and you could become a part of that. For example, MIS, Management Information System. So all the data that is coming in from the market can be analyzed and given back to the people so that they can take better decisions. That comes from the MIS. Supply chain management. Supply chain will ensure that the product moves from the company to the distributor to the whole to the retailer, from there to the customer. So that's the supply chain management. That becomes a support function. You could do a lot of licensing activities. So you could in-license products which belong to another company in principle, but because they do not have enough marketing muscle, you could go ahead and get those products in-licensed for yourself. You could also out-license your own products to others if you do not have a good marketing one. Support function would be pricing, as I gave the airlines example. Ticketing requires a lot of calculations, a lot of manipulation when it comes to number of days that are remaining for the person to fly out. You could write content. You could do a lot of proofreading. There are some unconventional rules which are also available, such as the intellectual property management. So, if you own a brand, like for example, Puma. Now, if you go out into the market, you will find a lot of duplicates of Puma folding around. People are carrying a lot of duplicate brands. So you need to ensure that people are, they're not allowed to use such kind of things by refraining the manufacturers, refraining people who are actually indulging into such things. Intellectual property is a far deeper subject than that, wherein you are trying to protect whatever you have created internally so that you can gain some benefit out of it. You could do a little bit of proofreading. You could do the content management, or you could do the innovations management. Now I am just going to give you a couple of examples, first of all, of the innovations manager. Now here, this guy is responsible for a strategic future business. That could be one area, or he could innovate with a simple product, or an idea, how to increase the sales, or the use of a particular product. So for example, if people wanted to ensure that people use more of their toothpaste, what you need to do is pretty simple. And for every student who's around right now, I would like you to go back and look at the toothpaste tubes that you have. You will see that if suppose this was how the toothbrush was meant to be, you would find a small note on that particular toothpaste. It says that do not use more than a pea size. So you're only supposed to use this much. Whereas we start from one end and go right to the other and make sure that our toothbrush is like this. So when you have somebody like an innovations manager, he could help you sell more of these, and he could also help you sell more quantity of this by offering products which, if this was a 100-gram tube, just increase the size to, let's say, a 200-gram tube. So now imagine if somebody who was filling in his toothbrush from one end to the other by using a 100-gram tube, now is doing the same thing using a 200-gram tube, which means he's doubling the total amount consumed. Whereas remember, you are only supposed to be using a pea size. These are things that are done by the innovations manager. These are things which actually will involve a lot of thinking on the part of the person so that this can happen. So that's the role of an innovations manager. Well, proofreading is very, very important, and I would like you to give it a shot to this. Anybody, you can simply put it on chat. Can you find out what's going on here? Can anybody name any of these? So you can now look at what those errors are. Did you notice that this one should have been believe? Errors spelling is wrong. Paragraph, there, study, necessary to, and the read part of it, REED. So that's something that we do when it comes to proofreading. So that was just a simple exercise that you had to do. Now, apart from that, here's a small exercise. Now, let me give you a small clue. And the clue is very simple. Think alphabets. Now that you're thinking alphabets, now tell me, where should 4 come and where should 9 come? Now let's look at the reason. This is 8, so EIGST. Okay. 11, EL. 15, it moves to F. 5, FIV. Then comes your 14. So therefore, the answer would be 4 here. This is O, and 9 starts with an N. So N should be here, and so on and so forth. So that's the answer that you have. So that requires out-of-the-box thinking. Innovations manager would require an out-of-the-box thinking. Please remember that. All right. Now, let's move on. Now, just to summarize everything, these are the various career options available. So advertising, customer service, e-commerce, entrepreneurship, fashion merchandising, financial services, hospitality marketing, import, export, international marketing, marketing research, and every little role that we just spoke about. Now, remember, guys, whenever you're getting into this kind of a thing, remember, no matter how good a person you think you are, there will always be someone criticizing you. So don't worry about what the world has to say. Just go on and make sure that you are always improving. What brings you here will not suffice further. You need to learn, you need to grow. Remember one thing, winning is not everything, but if you're a marketer, winning is the only thing. Hi, Aditi, back to you.
Hello, thank you
Hi.
so much. That was one of the most engaging and interactive presentations that I was attended in the recent times. And I really mean it, because I'm such an old school person that, being virtual always feels that, there's no involvement. And so people would just focus on their phones, they would focus on everything else. But this was very, very engaging. And thank you so much for that, Dr. Upadhyay.
Thank you.
Actually, I want to ask that, sir, how the marketing is going to evolve with the future technology or marketing idea?
Well. That couldn't have come at a better time. That particular question is such a brilliant one. Now, I don't know. I should have actually given you a little bit of how the marketing has evolved over the years. So, you see, from becoming a hunter and gatherer that human beings started out with, because we are ultimately animals only, right? So when we started becoming hunter and gatherers, and from there we started into farming and all such stuff, we just started making better and better products, and under the impression that if we make better products, it will take care of itself. It will sell on its own. So that era was something called as the production era. And the production era then led to the second era, because a lot of products were being manufactured, but none of them would sell. Most of them would just lie there in the godown, because people didn't know कि करना क्या है उसका. So therefore, then people started to move to the second era. Evolution came to sales era. So people would start selling whatever they had. Just make sure that whatever price that comes in, you at least are getting rid of all the things that you have had. Somebody then started thinking, yaar, ye theek nahi hai. You cannot just go on dumping products on people. So let's just go out to the market and find out what the market needs and then design products for that. And therefore that came to the third era, and that was the marketing era. Now you've moved on to the fourth era, and now we are into the relationship era. Now here we are being bombarded every single day by a relationship manager who's trying to sell you a loan or things like those. But these are the people who are trying to hold on to you for long enough, so that there is some kind of a conversation going on, some kind of a clue coming out of you, so that people build a relationship with you. Now look at the COVID times. Look at how this entire marketing and everything has changed. Now let's just talk about what we are doing at the moment. I mean, could you imagine just about a couple of years or maybe 3 years back that we would be seen as people, it is good to be on Zoom and talking virtually to people and it still be accepted very well. 3 years, 4 years ago, if you said that I'm going to conduct an online lecture, and distance model, people would look at you, what is that? Today, just see what has happened. Today, all kinds of universities from abroad are selling their products all over the world, and India is one of the biggest consumers. So Harvard comes to India. We have blended modules. So the marketing has evolved over time, and marketing will keep on evolving. Tools will keep on becoming better and better and better. Did we have Twitter earlier? You have something called as Twitter Spaces now. And in Spaces, it's very easy to create a relationship with some 5,000 people with one single tweet. And you could go on and talk about whatever you want with that one single tweet. You could involve people for a discussion over the Twitter Spaces. So the technology has been there. Technology will keep on increasing, improving, and people will keep on getting more and more out of it. Okay, I hope I answered your questions, my dear.
Thank you. Thank you, Siddhant, for asking that. Thank you, Dr. Upadhyay, for answering that question. I've received one more question from Dhruvi Ramanuj, who is here with us. She asks that if you could suggest some books or reference material that she could refer to understand marketing better.
Well, now this is something where I, as a teacher, wouldn't want to get biased into. But what I would do is I would suggest you a site. All of you are, Aditi and me, we belong to old school. We are people where physical books were kind of, that my biggest dream was to own a library of my own. Today, you guys also may be dreaming of a library of your own, but yours would be a digital library. So therefore, giving you one name would be a bad idea, although Kotler is one of the best that you can go for. Armstrong, Kotler, these are people that are heavy names in marketing era. But I would suggest that you look at PDF Drive Net. Now, PDF Drive is something that if you go onto that, or ZBooks, these are sites that you must visit, download as many books as you want, just type the subject. Let's say, for example, if you type marketing management, you will get some 50,000 books there. So you can pick and choose from whatever you want. I would suggest that you go in for some Indian versions as well if you want to study the Indian cases. So there's one by Subramaniam, which is really, really nice book in that. But internationally accepted, yes, Kotler would be. But again, I'm not suggesting just one or two names. Please go ahead. Please find out as many books as you possibly can, download and increase your library. It's a very good question. Thank you for asking that.
Awesome. So if we don't have any more questions, Dr. Upadhyay, what I usually do is in webinars, when we come towards an end, I do a rapid fire round, wherein I want you to answer whatever comes to your mind first, for the questions that I ask you.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, let me send. Okay, all right, start.
All right. So my first question is entrepreneurship or corporate life?
For me, it will be a corporate life.
Okay. 3 words that come to your mind when I say success.
Respect. Respect. That's it. I don't go beyond that.
Yeah, it's like entertainment.
Yeah, just respect.
Yeah. 3 words that come to your mind when I say happiness.
Well, happiness is first of all family. Okay, my students are happy, I'm happy. And the third is my internal happiness with my own fitness regimes.
Probably a similar question to books. And I think you would answer it in a similar fashion. But still, I want to go ahead and ask you, any role models?
Yes, I have 3 role models. 2 of them were my teachers. and one of them is a very close friend of mine. I would prefer not to name them though.
Definitely. Thank you for answering it nonetheless.
Yeah.
Just one final question from my end would be, what's your final word of advice to these lovely endeavorians who are just ready to, go out there and make a mark in the world?
First of all, I think they should not be looking forward to, becoming MBAs who drop straight from the heavens, because you need to get your hands dirty. You're just about starting out. So don't think that, just because you get an MBA degree, you're going to be God's greatest gift to mankind. No, it does not happen that way. Let me tell you, to be a great marketer, to be a good brand manager, you first of all need to put in a couple of years in the sales. So do that, dirty your hands, know what the customer wants. Only then success comes to you. Otherwise it doesn't. So that's the advice that I have for my guys here.